Good afternoon, gamers. Welcome to the PR Podcast, Season 13. This is the post-draft episode recap. We had our draft on Thursday. It was a lot of fun, and it's time to talk about the teams since Week 1 is about to be underway right after I finish this recording. So I figured this is a great time to kind of get into and break down the teams. So I'm going to start off with the X Conference, which some have called the Stacked Conference. Since we got our conferences completely random, so luck of the draw and everything. But we're going to start by talking about Frank's team. Looking at Frank's team, the first thing that jumps out to me is the base stat total of these guys. Like the first 6 on this list are at like 600 or like just below. Like the pure numbers on these Pokemon, it's just absurd. So kind of looking at it from a objective standpoint, right? Landorus Incarnate is a broken Pokemon. Victini, super versatile, great stats, can do a lot of things. Manaphy is one of the most dangerous setup sweepers in the game. Mega Venusaur is impossible to kill. Those 3 mentioned Pokemon, they make a really good Fire, Water, Grass core together. Which is really important in draft formats, just to kind of have all your bases covered, and typically they synergize really well. And then you got Pokemon like Thunderstarian and Cresselia, and these guys both have Levitate, which is going to be really good for Victini, and the other 2 ground weak Pokemon who we have here, Bisharp and Chandelure, which also appreciate having a free ground switch, and of course Landorus is immune to ground as well. And then we got Goodra. Goodra is a cool Pokemon. It's got crazy Spadef, learns like every single special attacking move you could ever ask for. So, and Aerodactyl, he's here too. So overall, Frank has a really scary looking team. I mean, I can't say enough good about its offensive and defensive profile. I think these Pokemon cover each other really well, and I think he's got the tools to kind of cover pretty much any matchup that can get thrown at him. If anything, lacking a fairy type is pretty unfortunate, and the steel type being Bisharp can kind of make this team a little susceptible to like a really strong like Dragon Dancer. Something like a Salamence would be really scary into its structure like this, or just generally that big bulky dragon that throws off big attacks, since typically they cover, they run like fire ground coverage, so Bisharp is asked to do a lot of things, especially for a Pokemon that's more built for offense. The only downside for this team I can really talk about is the general lack of hazard control and also like reliable hazard setter. So Aerodactyl is the only way that Frank has to remove hazards, which with this team with 3 flying type Pokemon is, not the end of the world, especially for when in terms of spikes, and only one of them is weak to Stealth Rock. And of course, Victini and Chandelure are also weak to rocks. So getting hazards off the field for Frank is going to be pretty hard, especially because in terms of Stealth Rock setters, Aerodactyl is one of the 3. Landorus is another one, and that's a Pokemon you typically want to be using the damage button for. And Bisharp, who, as I mentioned, is going to have a lot of things to do on this team, and I don't think Stealth Rock Setter is going to be its best choice. But that's really the only big weakness. We'll see how Frank is able to play around it, how his opponents are able to kind of exploit that. But overall, this is a pretty good team. Going up against this is definitely going to be one where you got to be ready to go. You got to be on your A game. And overall, I think I'm going to give Frank an A- grade on this draft. I really like it. I think it's got some flaws, but I think every team has flaws this season. There really is no like S tier team. Spoiler. It's going to be a draft where everybody has a pretty decent team, which is great. So hopefully to see a lot more parity this season. So next, I'm talk about my team at the 2nd overall pick. And as you can see, it took Mega Gardevoir. Pairing Mega Gardevoir with a slew of special attacking threats with Serperior and Hydreigon and Raikou and Nidoqueen, all really threatening special Pokemon, and a pretty decent just defensive core with Skarmory, Jellicent, and Nidoqueen. As I talked about before, Nidoqueen's a mon that can do a lot of defense and offense. And Infernape is the only true... Okay, that's not true. Cloyster is right here. It's really the only true physical attacker that doesn't need to set up. I mean, there are 2 Pokemon that legitimately click physical moves on this team. Skarmory doesn't count. And Chatot is here because I think he's funny. And you guys are going to see some Chatot gaming, so I hope you're excited. One thing about my team that I talked about when I first started is this is primarily a special-based attacking team. So teams with really strong special walls, the Assault Vest, are definitely going to be pretty strong picks against this team. But one thing that is really good about this team that I wanna kind of talk about are the speed tiers. All these Pokemon dance around the base 95 to 110 plus speed tier, which is really important because it makes a lot of those mid-tier Pokemon that are really threatening to this kind of core forced to rely on Choice Scarf, which can be exploitable when going up against a Pokemon that's slightly faster. Now your really good Scarfer is outscarfed. And this is a team where, you know, the defensive pieces are strong. They have good, reliable recovery with Skarmory's Roost and Jellicent's Recover, and pretty good hazard removal and hazard setting. Kind of the opposite of Frank's team, where Frank was a little bit more limited in his removal options and Stealth Rock setting. This team has more, I'd say, more viable options. Not that, you know, Aerodactyl and Landorus are bad Pokemon, they just might not be the best rocker every week. Skarmory can set pretty much every hazard. Nidoqueen can set pretty much every hazard. Between the 2 of them, all the hazards are covered. Infernape is one to run like a dedicated lead set. These are good, reliable hazard setters that don't have to worry about doing 100 other things like something like Bisharp would have to do on Frank's team. But overall, I think I put together a good squad. Definitely has a bit of a fire type weakness. So that's a bit of a... it's going to put a lot of pressure on Jellicent and a bit more defensive pressure on Hydreigon than what you would want. But I think my team is solid, but I don't think it's exceptional. I like the versatility of it. I'm going to give myself an A-. I think this team and also Frank's team, I think, are both playoff contending teams. I wouldn't be surprised if they went far in the postseason. So we're going to jump to JT's team, who had the 3rd pick. And JT's got Mega Lopunny, Volcanion, Ferrothorn, Togekiss, Donphan, Mesprit, Haxorus, Mega Slowbro, Skuntank, Empoleon, Manectric, and Pinsir. And the first thing that jumps out is that all of the types are pretty much covered here between very few Pokemon. So JT wanting to bring Volcanion and Ferrothorn every week, you already have your Fire, Water, Grass and a really strong Steel in 2 slots that allows you to be more flexible with what you bring. And in draft, flexibility is key. So, and then building on that, like Pokemon like Mesprit. Mesprit has really balanced stats. It could pretty much do whatever you want it to do. And Togekiss is another Pokemon like that lets you, you know, you could play defensive, you could be offensive. There's Scarf sets, Nasty Plot, things like that. JT also has a pretty good array of hazard setters and hazard removal. I believe JT has the most hazard removal Pokemon in the draft. I have to double check on that. I might be talking out of my ass, but between Skuntank, who learned to defog, Togekiss, and Donphan and Empoleon, that's 4 hazard removal Pokemon right there. Mesprit Donphan, and Ferrothorn, and Pinsir, and Empoleon can all set Stealth Rock, which is really cool. Again, gives a lot of options. And I haven't even talked about Mega Lopunny. There's not much needs to be said. It's really strong and hard to deal with, unless you're a bulky Psychic type or Cofagrigus. So overall, I mean, JT's got a really scary team. I like the Mega Slowbro pick a lot. Because this is a Mega that you usually don't want to click the Mega Evolution button with. Obviously, you want to do that with Lopunny because regular Lopunny is not very good. But regular Slowbro is great. So if there's games where Lopunny is really not coming together, you have the Slowbro button when you need it. And I think that's really cool. So I like JT's team a lot. I'm also going to give him an A- grade. I think there's definitely some room for improvement. The main thing is just speed tiers. All these Pokemon, except like Lopunny, kind of all fall in the same general speed tiers. Where Lopunny is going to be the fastest Pokemon, but it can never be a Choice Scarfer. So a team with a really fast Scarfer that could do a lot of damage is going to have the offensive advantage against JT's team. But I think with smart play, that's something JT could definitely play around pretty well. So I like this team. I think it's good. Definitely a playoff contender. So next I want to talk about Chris. Because we have a lot of players with the same name. This is not the Chris that you might remember. This is a new Chris. And this Chris really loves ground-type Pokemon, as you can see. There are 5 of them. Garchomp, Excadrill, Mamoswine, and 2 water ground types in Gastro and Quagsire. So water, ice, grass types go crazy. Weavile will definitely keep those grass types that want to switch into Earthquake in check. Tornadus will be a great pivot point for this team. And I want to talk about Mega Altaria because I've never gotten to talk about it before, but this Pokemon's broken. Its typing is so good. Pixelate is a great ability. It could be special, it can be physical, it could be supportive. You could do anything. It's great. And it pairs really well with Garchomp. So fun fact, when I was planning my draft for a couple days, I thought about doing this same pair of Garchomp and Mega Altaria. So I'm glad to see it represented, and I hope Chris can do well. I can't give Chris a higher grade than B, unfortunately, despite how much I like a lot of these Pokemon, just because he's got 5 ground types, and I think out of principle, that is a very exploitable area, especially in draft when, I mean, unless you're going to leave 5 of these guys at home and you're going to pull up with a team of Weavile, Torn, Altaria, Ditto, Pachirisu, and Diancie, like, you kind of need to bring 1 or 2 or 3 of them every week. But yeah, team is fun. Excited to see what Chris is going to do this season in his first SAPA format. Next, I want to talk about Izzy's team. Izzy's team is crazy. Talk about big attacking guys with Mega Medicham, Kyurem Black, Nidoking, Heatran, good old Mega Blastoise with his cannons on his arms and also on his back. And some really great mid-tier Pokemon with Gardevoir, Arcanine, and Gyarados and Heracross. We play a lot of DPP, and those are some of the best Pokemon you can draft in those formats. So happy to see them all together here. I think his team is really strong. I think Krogunk is going to 6-0 a lot of people. And there just really aren't a lot of teams that could deal with Medicham plus Kyurem Black. Like, genuinely, this is a very hard offensive combo to deal with. In terms of our hazard setters, being something we're looking at here, Nidoking and Heatran are great setters. Nidoking also being a very strong offensive Pokemon. The real special attacker of the team, yeah, Gardevoir is pretty good at that. Mega Blastoise probably isn't going to see too much use in its Mega form because you're going to want to rely on Medicham a lot. And of course, you know, Kyurem Black has ridiculous stats, but that Ice Beam is not hitting as hard as the Sheer Force, Life Orb, Nidoking, Sludge Wave, and Earth Power. And Heatran is a really good Pokemon. I mean, I don't really have to sell you why Heatran is good. I would say I am looking at the move Earthquake into this team, and it can be pretty hard to switch into outside of like Whimsicott and Gyarados. So you're kind of, and well, I guess Heracross, but like I don't know how much you really want to switch him in. Often, you usually want to get him in for free. Speaking of getting Pokemon in for free, there's not a lot of momentum generation on this team. Whimsicott gets U-turn. That's it. So Izzy's gonna have to make a lot of hard switches and reads, which can be difficult and can definitely slow down the game plan, especially when you have such powerful breakers like the first 3 on the list, and even a more offensive leaning Heatran. So if there's anything Izzy can look to, kind of analyze, be like, hey, how am I getting these Pokemon in? Because you don't switch Medicham into like a stray hit unless you're like really in a bad position. And the same kind of goes for Nidoking unless it's like a choice locked electric kind of thing. But overall, I think Izzy has a really scary team. I think there's a little bit of a missing piece. Again, I mentioned with the pivoting, hazard removal is pretty strong. Whimsicott's got Prankster, Defog, I think it does. But Blastoise is a great spinner. Always has been, always will be. Overall, I think I'm going to give Izzy a B+. Just for the sheer offensive firepower of this team. Some of the slower teams in the league might have some trouble, but as I kind of highlighted with my team, there's a lot of faster teams out there, and Izzy's fastest Pokemon is base 100, and I think I just talked myself into B. No, I can't do that. I'm sorry. Izzy, you can have B+. So definitely a lot of Pokemon that like Choice Scarf on this team, like Gardevoir, Heracross, even Nidoking. It's a good Scarfer. Heatran too. So maybe looking for a fast pivot Pokemon might be the missing piece here, because I feel like there's something missing to bring it to that next level. We're gonna talk about Corey's team. Corey has drafted a team that looks like a Corey drafted team. Our old player base will understand what that means. So here we got a lot of good Pokemon. We got Mew, Volcarona, Mega Diancie, Gliscor, Slowbro, Cobalion, Kyurem, Mandibuzz, Breloom, and Mega Manectric. I am not going to apologize to Corey for taking Raikou from him, his dear friend, because I want to zap people. But let's kind of talk about his team. I think Mega Diancie and Volcarona is a fantastic pairing. Diancie helps dissuade the Stealth Rock setters from setting up rocks, which of course Volcarona really likes. Mew can do anything. I don't need to talk about how good Mew is in a draft format. Volcarona is super scary, and as long as you can deal with its checks and counters, you'll be good to go. Corey's got a team that's pretty good at doing that. And offensively, Volk and Diancie just cover each other really well, chipping each other's checks so the other one can win. Gliscor is Gliscor. I don't have to sell you on how good that guy is. And Slowbro pairs really well with Gliscor defensively. So Gliscor can switch into the electric moves coming to Slowbro. And Gliscor is pretty much a knock absorber once you have the Poison Heal active, which Slowbro will definitely appreciate. And of course, the ice moves, Slowbro's gotcha. Good utility. Good Pokemon. Cobalion, really fast. Volt Switch. Stealth Rock. Could be physical or special. I love this guy. This is a good Pokemon. Corey's gonna have a good time with this guy. And of course we got Kyurem. Kyurem, really good. Is nowhere near as good as it is in Generation 9. It doesn't have all the fun moves. So Kyurem might get to show some stuff, but he won't be Dragon Dancing at all. Mandibuzz, great hazard removal, which Volcarona really likes. Breloom is Breloom. I don't need to talk about Breloom. And Mega Manectric is here doing his best Raikou impression, even though Mega Diancie is going to come pretty much every time. Overall, I think Corey's got a really scary team. Definitely going towards the A- rank here. I think we definitely have a top 4, top 5 situation with the teams so far. But I really like what Corey is going on here, because Volcarona is set up really nicely into a lot of these teams, particularly the first two we talked about. So now we're going to talk about Brian. And Brian missed the draft. He drafted from the airport. But he's got a really good team. Landorus is the GOAT of modern OU. We love Landorus. Zard X and Azumarill make a really, really good defensive, offensive core. Pair that with Scizor. I mean, that's just... It's a lot of quad weaknesses, but they do cover each other really well. I think Gengar is probably the best poised Pokemon in the entire draft. I think this is a Pokemon that will be in the MVP conversation. This is my hot take, just because there aren't a lot of ghost types, and a lot of players aren't stacking dark types. So it's a relatively limited list. And then rounding it out, we got Hoopa Unbound. Good guy, very strong. Watch out for U-turn. And Shaman, I think, ties the room together with its general versatility, good move pool, and being that final member of the Fire, Water, Grass with Zard and Azumarill. Porygon 2 is great. Muck is really funny, and Brian wouldn't go anywhere without Pikachu. And Meloetta is here. I don't really know much about Meloetta, but it's a good special attacker. And looking at the team, definitely needs a little bit of special help. Obviously, we got Gengar, we got Hoopa. But, you know, Meloetta will definitely be that nice third piece. I will say this team is probably going to struggle a lot with dark types. Scizor can only do so much. And Azumarill is very slow. Aqua Jet is nice, but again, you can only do so much. I like Brian's team a lot. I feel like I have to go back and change some rankings, but I feel like it's a slight step down from Corey's team. But I think I'm gonna put it in a B+. And then I think what I'm gonna do, we're gonna do a little adjustment. I'm gonna drop Chris down one, and I'm sorry, Izzy, I'm going to bring you to a B. And we are going to move on to Ernest's team. Ernest has another team with high base stat guys leading it off. Zard, Lottie, very strong special attackers. Terrakion and Metagross, really good physical attackers. Starmie has great utility, rapid spin, things like that. Crocodile is a very good Scarfer and has Pursuit, which is going to be great for getting rid of those ghost types that are going to annoy Metagross, and the other psychic types that Terrakion isn't going to want to deal with. One thing about this team, I do want to talk about how just nuts Zard Y plus Darmanitan is. Good luck. Have Flash Fire or die. And then a couple off this little Sun core, we got Heliolisk, who has Solar Power. And that guy is going to punish the water types that want to switch into Charizard and Darmanitan. Really scary 1-2-3 combo here. Florges is a great special wall to help this team just take special hits, because you got a lot of offensive breakers, and eventually their counter is going to come in. And, you know, Florges is a pretty good, and go get him kind of guy. And Amoonguss kind of can handle that as well, since the two don't really share any weaknesses anyway. Regigigas is here. And Starmie, again, I mentioned, good rapid spinner. The one thing you always want to have with a quad weak to rocks guys, you want to have good hazard removal. Ernest has that locked down. Great Defogger and Latias. One of the best rapid spinners in Starmie. So as long as rocks can stay off, I think this team is very scary. Definitely going to give Ernest a B+. Ranking is a very scary team, but I think it definitely has some weaknesses. And I think the main one is it's pretty frail. Like, if you can break Florges and Amoonguss, if you have a faster offensive threat, you're probably going to break through eventually. All right, so we got a couple more teams in the X conference here. All right, we got Hank. Hank has a team of many fairies, Clef and Sylveon, and now we got a lot of really good bulky Pokemon. We got Swampert, Milotic, and Zapdos, and we got Scolipede, and we got Mega Beedrill. So there's two really strong bug poison types that Hank can kind of, you know, pick and choose to use. And Mega Gallade pairs really well with the fairies, since the fairies are going to bring in the steel and poison types, and Gallade is going to feast on those. Really good synergy there. Zapdos has the hazard removal, the pivoting capabilities. So I really like this this 1, 2, 3 here. This is definitely one of my favorite ones in the draft. And we got Rotom. So there's 3 electric types here, which I think is pretty neat, especially because they don't share weaknesses at all. I think that's really cool. So I like Hank's team. I think it's really good. There's a lot of type overlap, so that can get exploited, but a lot of these Pokemon don't share the weaknesses, like I mentioned with the electrics, right? Swampert and Milo, they do share the grass weakness, but you have Swampert. You know, you're going to see that coming. And it's not like Hank's team can't handle grass moves with the poison bug types and Zapdos, of course. So I think Hank is a great team. I'm going to give him a B+. I'm very happy with this team, and I'm excited to see him do well. So now we got Jordan's team. Jordan drafted Black, White, Sand. I mean, I just look at it, and that's what I think. Keldeo plus Tyranitar is fantastic. There's one thing I've learned from playing Black and White OU in my childhood and modern day, is that if you can get rid of the psychic types that resist water with Tyranitar, Keldeo is going to go crazy. All right, and then you can always drop Dracos with Latios. So these 3 right here, very strong, very reminiscent of the olden days. Jirachi, another Black and White OU staple. Really just great synergy with Tyranitar. I mean, for the DPP fans, I mean, you got the best 2 guys here, and a Lottie. Like, what more can you ask for? Thundurus Incarnate, really strong special attacker. Prankster Thunderwave is going to be nice, especially with Tyranitar, and for crippling any Choice Scarfer that might be trying to go past Keldeo and Latios. Klefki is great. This was definitely one of my, I wouldn't call it a sleeper, but I think one of the best Pokemon you could get at its point value. Sets up spikes, is annoying. He's a good guy. And rounding out the other selections, Tentacruel, Rapid Spin, knockoff utility. Overall, great Pokemon. All right, and I want to talk about Mega Sceptile real quick. As the Mega of choice, I think you could do better, especially with what's left in the free agent pool. One of those being Mega Garchomp. I feel like that's an avenue. If Jordan wants to improve the team, I would consider that as a potential guy to look at. Also, Entei, really strong. Threaten the steals that want to come in on Latios and Jirachi. I like this team. Good hazard removal. Hazard setters. Obviously, Tyranitar can do anything. Great stealth rocker. Jirachi could do it. Klefki gets the spikes. I really like Jordan's team. I might be higher on it than most people are, but I genuinely want to give it an A- ranking. This might be my own personal bias from playing formats where these 3 are really good together, but I like it a lot, and I'm excited to see what Jordan can do with it. And our final X-Conference team, we have Adam. Adam has a team that is going to strike you first, and there's nothing you can do about it. Look at all these priority guys. Bullet Punch, Water Shuriken, Brave Bird, E-Speed, Quick Attack. I mean, forget the fact that a lot of these Pokemon are just naturally fast. If you can get past all the quad weaknesses, especially the Rocks problem, which is a legitimately big deal, Mega Scizor has a lot of work to do. because you don't want to defog with Dragonite unless you absolutely have to. I think Talonflame can defog. Can he? Yeah, you can. So you always have that button, but do you really want to switch your quad weak Stealth Rock guy in to click defog? Probably not. And of course, you know, Mega Scizor is probably going to be the preferred Mega, but having Pinsir is really good because you can make regular Scizor function without having, you know, the Clamper Chainsaw hands. And Pinsir is really cool. Aerialate, quick attack. It's very strong. So Adam has a team that's going to hit you first and hit you hard. But if you can withstand that priority assault, you can exploit a lot of the 4x weaknesses. But it's going to be hard to switch in with Deoxys defense setting all the hazards and just generally, you know, powerful attacks coming your way. I'm gonna give Adam a B strictly because of all of the 4x weaknesses, not because I think this team is bad. Because the lowest rating I've given a team in this conference is a B. That's just because there generally isn't a bad team, and that's a point I want to bring across. Is like having an A rank is pretty much like a perfect team. Every team has flaws. I just think some of them are more noticeable on like first, second look at a team than others. Right? Do I think Adam can win a lot of games and make playoffs? Absolutely. Do I think he's going to struggle in the initial weeks because of all the 4x weaknesses? There's a good chance. But Adam's a good enough player. He can figure it out. He's trading free agency. You know, might be something worth considering, especially when there is a rock or a piece of ice thrown at him. All right. I'm going to drink some water. We get into the Y Conference. Aaron had first pick. So we see another Landorus, Victini, Manaphy. Isn't that... Wait. Hold on a second. This is... Alright, so we got a little error on the sheet. But I can pull up. I will bring up Aaron's team. As you can see here, there's a shit ton of overlap, right? Right? Did I mess this up? Am I goofing on live TV? No, I'm not. Because Aaron has Landorus Incarnate, Mega Scizor, Victini. All right, so a lot of similar guys, right? Goodra and Chandelure are also here. Which is funny because I know Aaron and Frank did do some preparation together, and it's fun that they ended up with similar teams. Where Aaron's team differs is Mega Scizor as your Mega versus Venusaur. Mega Scizor is a better Pokemon. Here is your really good hazard removal, and also Starmie can do the same thing. That part I do like a lot more. I think Aaron lacks more of the firepower that Frank does. Therefore, it's a weird like give and take. It's hard to say like which team is better than the other. I think each have their strengths and weaknesses. But there is one thing that they both have in common is that Landorus is one of only few Stealth Rock setters. The other is Jirachi, who's pretty good, but it does limit what they can do. Where if you want a more offensive Jirachi, you gotta rock Lando. You know, and if you want to free up a move slot on Landorus, you have to run Stealth Rock Jirachi. And that can limit your team building a little bit, which, you know, can make things a little tricky. But I like Aaron's team. I wish this worked properly, but I do like Aaron's team. I'm also going to give him the A- ranking because I just like the general combination of his Pokemon. All right, I want to talk about Ben's team. Ben low-key has top 3 favorite draft team in this conference. But I do have to preface it by there is a shit ton of 4x weaknesses, which does limit the ceiling of it. But just as a unit, right? Garchomp Zapdos, phenomenal. Watch out for ice. Deoxys defense kind of puts all of that utility in one place, which is nice to have that roll compression. You have the hazard removal with Zapdos, with the Talonflame and Mega Sableye, which is, you know, Bandit's favorite Pokemon, so it's cool that he finally gets to use him at his height. Mega Gyarados is really strong, and this is a guy you don't need to Mega. Circular Gyarados is good on its own. And then we got Bisharp. Bisharp, good Pokemon, can Pursuit Trap things like the Lotties when that matchup comes, because Garchomp would love to have them out of the way. Magnezone can help trap the Steel types, but look at this team. Steel isn't that threatening of a type just because Garchomp can really mow him down. But overall, I mean, from the looks of it, this is a very solid team. I might be higher on it than others are. I just kind of like how it looks and all of the potential it has. Because it can also, like, this is a team that's going to kill you in like 20 to 30 turns. And if it doesn't, it will stretch the game out and do its best. Because Sableye, notoriously a stall Pokemon, is surrounded by not very stally Pokemon. So Mega Sableye might find that he has some trouble doing his usual antics. But that doesn't mean it's going to be bad, because that Magic Bounce utility is really nice for the Talonflame. And just Talonflame because Garchomp is really strong. And I'm talking in circles. I'm giving John a B+. We're going to move on. THT, Gardevoir, and Heatran. Great combo. I mean, Fairy plus Fire is broken. There's a reason they haven't done it yet. Rotom ties with Heatran perfectly. They're like a match made in heaven. And then Tangrowth. Again, if you play Sun and Moon, you know that like Heatran and Rotom and Tangrowth are a pretty good defensive trio together. Scolipede offers the physical offense, which would otherwise be lacking at this point, looking at the order he drafted. And having that speed boost, that opportunity to be a cleaner that doesn't care about other people's speed. Zygarde can do stuff. Zygarde is at his weakest. I'd argue he's not particularly good, but, you know, it pairs well with Gardevoir, so, you know, you do what you gotta do. I like Conkeldurr here a lot, just for hitting those big fighting type moves, Mach Punch, and being immune to status with his guts. And then Umbreon is a pretty neat special wall that can pair well with Tangrowth. You just gotta watch out for U-turns, things like that. But I really, really like Chris's team, and a lot of its shortcomings are gonna fall on the fact that Blastoise is the only way to get rid of hazards. But this is a team that only has one Stealth Rock weak guy. Oh, I lied. He has two. I forgot about the bug. So that's really the only limitation, is Spike Stack is going to be pretty gnarly against this team. So that's really the only thing that takes Chris's team from what I would genuinely give an A to an A-. But I think he can adapt and overcome. Hall's team's funny. You got two big fighting types. He's going to punch a lot of holes. Latios, drop Draco, remove the hazards. He's great. Nidoking, more offense. Great. Perfect. Now, some of the issues that you might find is, oh no, what if he's got a Choice Scarf? It's faster than my Lopunny. Boom. Sticky Web. Oh, what if they got a guy that's going to do damage? Boom. Throw the swords at him. Doublade, pretty cool guy. Can live a lot of hits with Eviolite. He only needs 4 moves. He only learns like 6 anyway. Mandibuzz, great defensive piece. And then a couple other funny guys. Seismitoad. I like Seismitoad. Water Absorb, Stealth Rock. Funny. He's a good guy. Now, Pat's got 3 megas. Don't let it fool you. This is Lopunny's game. But you will see Mega Pidgeot at least once this season. and I'm looking forward to it. So I think Pat's team is neat. I think the existence of the fairy type makes it hard to gauge. But the fairies are spread out, so I think Pat's gonna be okay, especially with the blade and nothing can switch into Nidoking. I like his team. I think it's fun. I'm gonna give him a B+. And yeah, that's all I gotta say. My voice is starting to hurt, so I'm going a little bit faster here. It's not because I have less to say, it's just that talking is hard. All right. So we just went from Patrick Hall to another Patrick. Can you believe it? Now there's 2 of them. Now Patrick's team. Big numbers. Mew, great utility. Thundurus is crazy good. And then the double ground with Crook and Mega Garchomp. And Azumarill, very strong attackers here. As well as it's also a sticky web support, which I think is super underrated with the Garchomp pickup. And Arcanine and that guy Rotom with Azumarill make the Fire Water Grass core pretty solid. Definitely helps out by the fact that Masquerain can set up sticky webs if the team needs it. A lot of fun utility for this team. Ice types are going to be a problem. There's not really much of a way around that, just given the structure of it. Azumarill and Tentacruel can only really do so much. And a lot of the times, the ice moves come from water types. So Arcanine's going to have trouble. I think it's a great structure. It feels like a Patrick team. And I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to give it a solid B. I like it. I think it matches up okay into the field. But I think there's definitely going to be some weeks where the type overlap is definitely going to be a bit problematic. Let's talk about Fletchington, aka David. Ferrothorn, Slowbro, Gliscor, Amoonguss. There's 4 guys. You're going to see them every week. Now you can pick and choose which offensive cleaner do you want. Do you want Volcarona? Do you want Aerodactyl? Do you want Mega Altaria? Do you want Hydreigon? Or Metagross? That's the structure of this team. Fat guys that flip around. Set up hazards. Are generally annoying. Win the game with Volcarona. Seems good on paper, yeah. The big problem with this team is hazard removal plus Volcarona. There are 2.5 defoggers on this team. Altaria can do it, but it doesn't want to do it. And then Murkrow. Okay, there's 3. I'm gonna count the 2 together. Murkrow has Prankster Defog. Wait, no, I lied. No, it doesn't. It can't get that. And that's kind of where I'm going with this. Gliscor cannot run Poison Heal and Defog on the same set, which is not great. Sorry, I got a text message. And Mega Aerodactyl, as we kind of mentioned before with Frank's team, with having to use Aerodactyl as Stealth Rock setter and defogger, is a little troublesome. I think what David's trying to do, he has a great concept of it, but I think there's going to be some problems in the consistency. And for that reason, I have to give him a B. And it's not because this team is B level. I genuinely think this might be, on paper, just looking at the guys together, a top 3 team in the conference. But when you look closer, it is missing such critical components that makes it hard to be like, yeah, that's the one. I think if David could get a good hazard removal guy that slides into his core of Pokemon, this team can win the conference. But as it stands, I have to give it a B because the move Stealth Rock will defeat this. Speed of Stealth Rock. On paper, Vivi has the best team in the conference. Vivi does not have a Stealth Rock setter. Therefore, we have to give Vivi a B- because of that. And I'm gonna do a frowny face. There's no Stealth Rock, but looking past that, I mean, Zardex, Superior, Manaphy, Klefki, Slurpuff. That is one hell of a hyper offense team. And Raikou can dual screens. Well, so can Slurp. And I think Slurpuff gets Sticky Web, if I'm not mistaken. This team is really good. But man, does it need rocks. If it had rocks, broken. Genuinely best team in the conference. So I'm going to take my jokes aside. I am going to bump Vivi to a B+. Because, one, she has the bye. So she doesn't have to play with this team. There's going to be a Stealth Rock setter here next time we chat. But again, because of the rocker, this is a B+. With a rocker, that is the first and probably only A of the draft. So Vivi did a great job. We all thought that Diggersby learned Stealth Rock, and he doesn't. It's very sad. Dante. Dante has a Dante-looking team. And I will not explain what that means. So, the double mega with Gallade and Zardwai. Also, Zardwai went in the 7th round. This is a sin on everybody. Really good mega selection. And Drifblim does get the Fog, which is really nice. And Dragonite also gets the Fog. Here's the problem. As mentioned previously, you're running a quad weak guy, you need the really good hazard removal. If you don't have it, you have half a Zard, and that kind of stinks. Defensively, Clefable and Tornadus are really good, and Hippowdon, just great defensive Pokemon overall. And offensively, Gengar, Zardwai, Hoopa, Dragonite, Gallade, good picks. I think Dante's team has got potential, but got to get the hazard thing under control. So we're gonna give Dante a B. I think this team matches up pretty well into teams that struggle with bulky ground types, because Hippowdon always finds a way to stonewall. I look at Paul's team, for example. Hippowdon looks crazy good. And we move on to the last few teams. We got Crispy Will, who, in his words, had all of his Pokemon stolen by others. That doesn't mean he has a bad team. It is quite good. Landers, Greninja, good Pokemon, great speed stats, can do anything. Diancie, that is his hazard control. Because Honchkrow is not a real Pokemon. Don't tell me otherwise. Volcanion is great, especially with the Diancie support. Fire plus Fairy, phenomenal offensive coverage. Slowbro, again, this guy can flip in and out. If Diancie is not the answer, make a Slowbro can save the day if it's time. I think my favorite pick on this team is Shaman. Shaman ties everything together, and I think I said that about Brian too, but Shaman is just a really good glue Pokemon. It's not a lot of investment, learns great moves, can definitely help out Volcanion a lot. Will's team is great. I can say more, but I don't have the voice. I like Will's team. David, the Blackpink Pony Club. He's going to keep on dancing with Keldeo, Kieran Black. Really, really strong attackers. Mega Venusaur and Scizor are great defensive Pokemon. Nidoqueen kind of rounds that out nicely too. At a glance, I like David's team. It's got all the cores that you look for. It's sound offensively, it's sound defensively. There's a lot of overlap in what the Pokemon can do. For example, like Keldeo can Scarf for Specs or set up, right? This guy can Scarf for Specs. This guy can Scarf for Band. big damage, right? Defog, bulky, you can't defog, but bulky, you know, lives forever. Good pivoting. It can pivot. Absol is here. Has magic bounce. I don't know if we'll ever see Absol, but there are definitely some teams that don't like dark types, so maybe we will see some Mega Absol gaming. I like Dave's team. It's got good attackers, good bulk. And again, the type defensiveness overlap is really nice. I'm gonna give Dave an A-. Like Dave's team. And last but not least, we have Lily, and we have more black and white sand. I don't know how this keeps happening, but we have Lottie plus Tyranitar, this time with his best friend Excadrill, and Reuniclus, and Skarmory. You can't tell me otherwise. But instead of Keldeo, we have Mega Medicham, and that's really strong. But that is also 3 psychic types. And I want to kind of highlight that Hoopa is right here, and that is a ghost type. The Choice Scarf is very strong. But look at that. Tyranitar. Got him. So you kind of see what I'm saying? Like, a lot of Pokemon can be good into these guys, but Tyranitar covers all of them really well. I like Gramble. I think that's a great pick. Really good. Utility with Intimidate, like the only physical fairy type attacker. Abomasnow might not see any play, but he's there. He's cool. No fire type is unfortunate, but you know, you live and learn. Ditto can be a fire type if you're into that. But I know I kind of went quick through Lily's team, but it kind of checks all the boxes that you needed to pretty quickly, right? Spin, rocks, defog, hazards, defog, magic guard, recover. Like, this is really good. This is a top contending team. I am expecting Lily to do very well this season. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Gonna zoom out a little bit so you can see everything. But yeah, the moral of the story: there is no team that's perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect draft team. All of these teams have a very exploitable weakness by another team. And if I sat here and pointed all of them out, what's the point of playing the season, right? That's for you to watch and for the players to find out. And I thank you all for listening to me ramble for 50 minutes. My voice hurts. Bye.